It was April 2006. I'm in a parent meeting, and it's going bad. And I mean real bad. And if you haven't already had one of those, you will. Tempers are flying, accusations are coming at me, and my self-efficacy is dwindling. And I remember partway through that meeting, totally checking out. Like here's the other administrators and the family, and I remember checking out and thinking, I considered leaving education, but I didn't think it was going to look like this. And then bam, the door slams shut, the family leaves, and I crumple to the boardroom table. And I cry unconsolably like I have never bawled before. And my administrator leans over, Joyce, maybe you should go for a run. Hey, you were in the physical activity section. It's a really good idea. And I'm picturing in my mind, I am going to run home to my basement and never come out again, but thanks anyway. But the second thing that administrator did was took me by the arm, took me back to my own office, picked up the telephone, and connected me to employee assistance. And that was when the healing and the hope began. Snippet of that journey is involved with medical doctors, naturopaths, theta healing. I studied the medicine wheel with a Cree elder, and the journey began. And 2006 is over 10 years ago. So notice that it takes time to do your healing. And it might come from unconventional ways or ways that we don't even realize are available to us. So I want to share my personal journey, assess your wellness, get you to assess it, explore strategies, and then really identify that ripple effect of your wellness. So I kind of got you started there. And that meeting, it was really just the straw that broke the camel's back. We can't say, and for years I did blame that family. I'm like, it's because of them, that I lost it, that I burnt out. No, it was because of what did and didn't happen prior to the meeting. So I want to share with you 3 of the flags that I experienced. And on your little mini handout here, I want you to record when you see one of your own flags, or perhaps a classmate or a colleague, so that you can be aware of what's going on with each other. Flag number 1, living at a frenetic pace. You know what? You have some emails at night, you get them done, you've got another assignment, and so then you just keep going. Educators like to GSD. Get stuff done. Yeah, we are doers. There's somebody that has great ideas, but then we need to implement them. I like that idea. Okay, I need to do this for my kids. I need to make the posters. I need to get it organized. Okay, can you help me with this? We mark math at my house, and my husband doesn't get it, and my daughter and I, we fire him. Like, it's crazy. Anyhow, that was the pace of my life. But as an administrator, we had a school of 1,000 kids, and it was pretty big. So I mean, I needed to hoof down the halls. I was pretty active. But one smart aleck, one of my staff members, Noel, remember it's an elementary junior high? Guess where Noel taught? Yeah, junior high. And so he would go in the staff room, and he'd go, hey, here's how Sonata walks down the halls. And all the teachers would be looking, and this is what he would do. What? Don't you walk like that? Check your gait. So that was simply a reflection of what was going on. On more than one case, I had an ECG, and my heart's fine. But it was a reflection of what was going on here, what was going on in here, and then it starts to manifest in my life. So living at a frenetic pace. You know when you come to the school year or you get your first practicum assignment, and you go to the school, it's like the water level is at your ankles. And you're like, this is awesome, I'm gonna change the world. I remember that. And then is meet the teacher. The water level's up at the knees, but then it subsides, and then it's reporting period. In a good year, the water level ebbs and flows. And I'll tell you more about what happened in that last year when the water level gets to here. The second flag, And I know it's up there, but I have problems with this one. Oh yeah, substantial memory loss. And I tried to warn some of my students. I got them to put on name tags. I think I still have memory loss. So I would be in the school. And let's say, and Caitlin, see, I'm still practicing names. Let's say I needed to call Caitlin's parents, but I go to the front of the room, and your name is?
Jory.
Jordy?
Jory.
Jory. So Jory's my front-end assistant. So I tell Jory, Jory, I need to go and phone Caitlin's parents because there's an issue. And my desk is probably over here by Sherry. All right, so Jory, I'm going to my office. I got to phone Caitlin's parents. All right, so I don't do anything slowly. I get to my office, and I see a disheveled mess on my desk. Well, guess what that reflects? Okay, that disheveledness. Watch your personal space. And so I can't remember, and so I even do the funky spin. It's like, okay, if I just, the answer's going to drop in. Doesn't drop in. Okay. What was I going to do?
You gotta call Caitlin's parents.
Love it, because they always remembered. Thank you. And so, you know, it's funny the first 2, 3, maybe even 5 times. But when it becomes a consistent operating mode, it's now a concern. So, like any good teacher, I develop a strategy and I implement it. The Palm Pilot. And that in 2006, it wasn't that popular yet, but I always carried a pen behind my ear, and if you needed something, whip out the pilot. One of my teachers, her name's on the hand, Sue. One day Sue asked me for something, grade 4 teacher, awesome lady, used to be a veterinarian before she went into teaching. And she had made a request. And so I said, okay, writing it down. And she said, Joyce, don't you know that if you write on your hand, you could get blood poisoning? Now, I don't know if that's true, and of course the secondary science people are like, but I'm like, I looked at her in disgust and I said, Sue, do you ever want me to remember what you want me to do or not? Like, blood poisoning or get it done? Let's make a choice here. Like, come on. Anyhow, the example is total disregard for myself because I had to GSD. I was the administrator. I had to get stuff done. And I had to make sure that my staff was taken care of. So much to the point that guess where I was? Boom, on the back burner. And then that constant feeling of hopelessness. And so when I'm telling you about the ebb and flow of the water, my last year of administration, the water level felt that it was right here all the time. And if I paused to take time for my wellness or care for myself, I would drown. And so, as I've heard from some of my students, there's more happening in life right now than school. And guess what? When you go out to your real job, life is going to still be happening. I had 3 teenage daughters at that time, all playing high-level soccer. This here is Delilah. Delilah had over 200K when we put her down. Yeah, good girl. We went many places. So this is happening, teaching's happening, administration is happening, and then I had this brilliant idea as a new administrator. I'm gonna make, okay, you're my peeps. I'm gonna make sure all my elementary teachers get all of their preps because I'm gonna give their kids phys ed. So first motivation is the kids never miss their phys ed because I was their relief, right? So kids never miss their phys ed, and I'm looking like a rock star because you never miss a prep. Okay, so now when I hear that motivation, interesting. So anyhow, as a rock star, you never miss a prep. Kids always get their phys ed. And I never take a sick day. I had to take 2 days in about a 5-year span because I had strep throat. But what ended up is a year leave, medical leave. So all this is happening. The water level's here. I'm feeling like I'm drowning. And Delilah and we come home one day, feeling a little soggy. Garage is in front. We pull in and it's like we land. And with that sigh comes this crazy idea. Like, if I just let her run, close the door, like the frenetic pace, the substantial memory loss, the hopelessness, it's going to be done. And thank God I shut her off. So if you hear nothing else this afternoon, if you don't take time for your wellness, somehow, somewhere, you're going to be forced to take time for your illness. And I have a really recent example. I have a very close friend. My husband and I went to Mexico in November, and she's texting me, "When are you coming home?" And I'm like, "Oh, pretty soon." You know, we're chit-chattering back and forth. And then I get home, and I have to fly to Ottawa to a speakers conference. And then I get like, "Oh, are you home yet?" And then when I get home, I also do Reiki, a form of energy healing. She says, "Can you come and give me a Reiki session?" Well, she was like, Since November, she had been in and out of school because she's feeling better, so she goes back, coming home, back and forth. And she ended up, so this was like a week before school got out, and I just said to her point blank, "You need to get to the doctor because you're not going back right now." And she just got a note because she's recovering from pneumonia, because she didn't take time to figure it out and take some time before it got serious. And so she'll need at least 1 extra week and maybe more, right? Because you've got to heal. So if you don't take time for your wellness, you will be forced to take time for your illness. Now, we talked about the 7 dimensions of wellness, and I wanted to make it a little bit more practical. So I'm going to show you what I think my wheel looked like in 2006 in April. And at the same time, I just invite you to complete yours. For each section, you're simply looking from 0 to 10, how well do you feel in that category? So I'll explain number 1. So friends and family. I was so, my friends were connected to the soccer teams because I was either at school or at soccer or at home. So outside of that, and then we were very busy as a family. It's not good or bad, but how well I felt and how much quality time I spent with family and friends, I think that would be about a 3. So are you understanding the assessment? It's a loose assessment, okay? And mark yours right now. Mark it as we go along. Significant others and romance. You know, when you've been married now for 32 years, romance, at that time, it's just like too tired, no desire. That's all I'm saying. This is not a sexual health class, okay? As far as fun and recreation, my fun and recreation was like scratching the blackboard. It's like, it was an effort to have fun and recreation because I was so focused on what I needed to get done and how I would look at my school to be a successful administrator. Health. Well, guess where that one was? Physical and mental health. Very, very, very low. Very low. I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety disorder, and of course, adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue is from that high frenetic rocking and rolling over a long period of time. It catches up to us. Money. Hey, as an administrator, I had a bonus, and so per hour, making about $1.50 an hour. Because the more, the bigger your title, the more responsibility. But overall, money's good. We didn't have a problem, but didn't have time or energy to spend it the way I would like to. Personal growth, doing things for myself and helping myself to feel good about myself, maybe hobbies or recreation or running with friends or maybe taking up an instrument, very low. Again, I put all my eggs in my professional basket. My physical environment, and people are saying like, what's your physical environment? Remember the disheveled desk here that Sherry was holding down? What does your space, just picture one of your main spaces. What does it look like? Is there junk all over it? Is it neatly organized? That's a form of wellness. Okay, I hear some giggles. I'm thinking there's some messes. And last of all, career. What's your career looking like, or how fulfilled are you feeling right now I guess, in your initial stages of this new career. So the wellness wheel reflects how bumpy our ride is. And sometimes the bumpier it is, the more inclined we are to notice. Your tire might be low on your vehicle, but until it really starts to mess you up, you might not do anything about it. So this is just a snapshot of where you are today. And it's much like a report card or a progress report. It's a snapshot. And the good news is that you have the capability to shift up that circle. So I want to preface the rest of the information because I want to talk about some strategies. And yes, you're familiar with some of them. Some of them we disregard, and something might be a little bit new. But I believe that you are creative, whole, and resourceful, and that you take away what works best for you. And that's same with this whole week. We have had a lot of information, a lot of great information. And as the educator, you have to sift through that, know the needs of your students, what's going to apply, and then implement it, because you're GSDers, right? All right, so here we go. To start, at the core, we need to know why. Why are we becoming educators? Who would want to be a teacher? Like, I'm kidding. So in a moment, when I say go, I'm going to invite you to do this. Find a partner, and I encourage you to stand, get a stretch in. So I'm trying to model a little bit of decent teaching here. So partner, and the shortest person is going to talk first for 1 minute. And here, I got hecked this morning because I used the tallest person, okay? So that's why. Or you can decide for 1 minute. And here's the topic. Why are you becoming a teacher? On those days when you're thinking, or you're feeling down and out and you're not too sure about the profession that you chose, then you need to revisit your why and just check in. Why are you doing it? Is it easy? Absolutely not. Are there going to be times that you're pounding your head against the wall? Absolutely. Are there going to be times? I know a young teacher that sometimes she's like, I'm going to quit. I'm like, just get till Thanksgiving. Okay, now what? Get till Christmas. Next one. Okay, now get to spring break, or no, convention and then spring break. So sometimes you just got to break it down like a race and just get to the first point at the time. So there is hope. So you shared your why. Thank you for generously sharing. A quick clip from Dr. Mike Evans. He's a medical doctor, but he also does whiteboard information. So at some point, Google his other slides if you so feel it's beneficial. But he sums it up really simple, keeping wellness simple.
I'm Dr. Mike Evans. You know, sometimes you just have a crap day or a crap week, overwhelmed, sad, anxious, regretful. Of course, there's a million things we could talk about: depression, anxiety, problem solving, stress management, mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy. All good, but sometimes people just want to get through the day or week advice. And here's what I say. Just gear down and stick to the basics. For me, these are sleep, turn off the TV and go to bed, activity, go for a walk outside or whatever you do, get perspective, write a letter that you probably won't send, eat, make a great meal, go on a date. I'm not talking romantic, I'm thinking about hanging out with a friend. Social connectedness is so therapeutic and isolation is so insidious. Clean up your space a bit. If you have something to do that's tough, do what the economists call temptation bundling. Do the tough thing and then bundle it with something that gives you simple pleasure. Go to an afternoon movie, read a book in a cafe, whatever works for you. I write a lot and I'm always struck by how I think a piece is done. But when I give it a few days and come back to it, I have a refreshed clarity that makes simple edits easy. I think life is a bit like this. I don't really have a name for this, or a load of scientific evidence, but I do think our society is very busy. And sometimes we just need to give ourselves a break. Pause, self-care, take a breath. Thanks for listening.
Sometimes we go to, it's the new year, we're going to jump in, we're going to do something amazing. Whereas He's encouraging us to take a step back and just do the simple things and do those simple things well instead of trying to take on the world. So we're going to talk strategies. And first of all, let's start with time, our most precious resource. The information is from Neil Pesrich's book. He wrote the book of Awesome, but he also wrote the book called The Happiness Equation. And so his concept, I love his concept and I use it frequently, is on removing time. So he talks about a marketing group that has a tight timeline. Some company wants them to develop a marketing strategy. And they are based all over the country. And so what they do is they bring everybody together and they say, we have 48 hours to develop this strategy and then we're done. What that does, it eliminates all of the emails, it eliminates all of the phone calls, it eliminates all of the questions, and they're face to face for a certain amount of time and they get her done. I would invite you to experiment with this because you have that assignment called What is a Health Champion? I invite you to block whatever time you can afford, have your outline ready, go for it, and at the end of the timeline, you are done. Because you can always do more and you can always make it better. And don't submit that at 11:58 either. So the idea of removing time is setting yourself a tight timeline, giving your best, letting it go. What I've learned with regards to presentations, so let's say for today, the presentation was not done last night at 11:47 or 11:58. The presentation was done in time. They kindly printed off the handouts and got them cut for me so that today I know there will be other things that I need to attend to instead of freaking out about the assignment that was due at 12:45. So the concept is to remove time. Remove access. I know some teachers that I'm available 24/7, I'm available anytime, just call, email, text. You educate people on how you want to be treated and when they can reach you. So what's your policy, let's call it, let's use that word, as to when parents can stop in to see you, when to call you or email you. At Teachers Convention last year, one of the elementary teachers said she got an email in the middle of the day while she's teaching. She doesn't check her email in the day. And it was a parent who said, I won't be there to pick up my child. That's what I said, but it's okay. So you have to communicate. Phone the school, I'm not available during the day to check my email. Once people are educated, then they have to take responsibility of when to reach you. So by removing access to yourself, you're done. Also, I'm sure none of you have ever done this. You know, you're sitting down. I spent like 6 hours on that assignment. And in the meantime, I was on Facebook and I did some Instagram posts and I did some Twitter and I was on my phone texting, but I spent 6 hours on my assignment. And then we start to believe that we're investing all this time. So close the door, shut the phone off, tuck it in your drawer, and simply be present to that particular task. Get her done. Move on. It can always be done better. But in light of all that you have to do, how much time do you want to invest in that particular assignment or that particular planning or that particular activity? So just give me a nod if this is kind of making sense. All right. I like to set my timer. And I'll go, especially if I don't want to do something. Okay, I'm going to set it. I usually do 45 minutes. If I can last 45 minutes. And then by the time it rings, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to set it for another 45 because I'm in the groove. So play with the time, make it work for you. And again, utilize your best practices. I have a good friend who's a professor in Edmonton, and he has ADHD. He has written books, he does reports, he writes grants, and he fuels from switching gears frequently. Not too many people. They say like maybe about 1% of people can actually multitask. The rest of us, it's like it takes us time to go from one task, shift, boom, get into the other task. So every time we switch, if we are not one of that 1% that can multitask, we are wasting time. And not that this has ever happened in your school settings. Sometimes there's a lot of time spent deliberating over, I have so much to do. Oh my gosh, I'm never going to get it all done. And 45 minutes later, 60 minutes later, it's still not done. And blah, 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 blah. Be careful. It's okay to attend a pity party. Please don't live there. Don't live there. Not a good place to live. All right. Hang out with amazing people. And be an amazing person. Okay, true story. I should have captured more fun-loving, but okay, that's a snapshot. True story. Elementary, junior high. It was an all-male table, just an observation. And I was new to the school, and I'm like, I want to be friendly, socially acceptable. I'll go meet these guys. So I sit down for lunch. Hey guys, how's it going? Well, within about 15 minutes, I knew everything that was wrong with the school system. I knew everything that was wrong at this school. I knew about everybody who wasn't all that great at this school. And so, may I borrow your pen? I had a phys ed office, and so I went back to my office. All right, good lunch, guys. Awesome. So, hang out with those amazing people, but also be an amazing person. You know when you put a bunch of live crabs in a bucket? They fight over each other and trying to get to the top. So notice your conversations at school. Thank you. Notice your conversations with each other. Yes, the education system can always be better. And so if you need to identify, okay, we're just going to vent for 10 minutes. I'm going to spill my day because it was like, blah, and then cut it off and start getting back to solutions. Are you the type of teacher that you want your children to have? Are you feeling inspired about what you're doing? That affects your wellness. And so do those conversations with your colleagues. And if my daughters, I have 3 daughters, the 2 older ones are telling the younger one, you need to cut that gal from your friend list. Because every time they get together, the youngest daughter comes back and it's like, now she's all down in the dumps. And so what they're trying to teach her is hang out with people that are going to inspire you and be that person that's going to be encouraging. I want to share this quote. A Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl. I'm going to make an assumption that he faced some challenges in life. Okay? Some drastic challenges. So when we're facing challenges, consider this. We have absolutely no control over what happens to us in life, but what we have paramount control over is how we choose to respond. I love to dance. My husband doesn't. And he likes sitting on the side. And when I find somebody else to dance with, he's like, yes. And usually it's 2 guys that, the wives will go and dance, or a group of ladies, and they're like, yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Because we're enjoying, but they're also enjoying sitting back and watching. So control what you can. That's the bigger picture of wellness. Yeah, but this kid, and he needs this, and he needs that. What can you control? And if you kill yourself doing that, now he has no support, or she has no support. Take time to be still and be reflective. And I just urge you to try that this weekend. True app, free app, Insight Timer. I was using it this morning when my class started to come in because I got in a rush and I forgot. Free app, all sorts of nice meditative pieces that you can use for yourself and for your classes. So even though we were jumping around, now if we were to place our feet on the floor, start to breathe quietly, center ourselves, then we can bring the energy back. So as teachers, you can help energize your students and you can help bring them back. And first and foremost, for yourself. What energizes you? What grounds you? So the ripple effect of ignoring my wellness. So I was administrator, school of 1,000 kids, kindergarten to grade 9. And I decided to leave administration, and I went to a grade 5 class, to a small elementary school, because nothing happens at a small elementary school. And when I do this presentation at elementary schools, they're like, ugh. And I'm like, no, I'm kidding. And I taught grade 5 because surely I'm smarter than a 5th grader. So I'm like, okay, I'm taking a new role. Yeah, okay. And one day, I decided to do a lesson on clouds. And you art specialists are all over this, and there's probably a curricular connection. So I had 25 kids, we marched them outside, we lay on the ground. I'm watching them. We marched back in. 25 kids came back, good sign. They all had squiggles on their page. Nailed it. And the real reason I did the activity was so I could lay on the ground. Now remember, this is after the meeting, after I knew I was spiraling downhill but didn't have my diagnosis yet and didn't take my leave yet. Second example, as the school administrator, you know, I'm seeing Sherry mess around here with Alana, and I know these junior high girls, I know they need a talking to. Maybe Shelly will handle it. Because I don't have the energy or the gumption or the self-confidence at that point. And so now my safe and caring school, not so safe and caring. With regards to my family, again, the big one with the relationship is too tired, no desire. Like, your wellness affects all aspects of your life. It ripples out, and so that's really what I want you to hear. I have to show this, and the reason I show this is because if Delilah and I had a different ending in the garage incident, like I've never really admitted that, geez, I was on the verge of eliminating myself, using the S word. And if you feel like that, U of C has a tremendous student services, student wellness facility, you know, place that you can go to get help. So after this, if you think, make sure you touch base with your instructors, or you go to student wellness. That's why they're here, to support you. But if that was different, so far left, my husband Guy. That's me with the worst Christmas sweater ever. Melanie's in the middle, new teacher. Lindsay's up in Edmonton at university. She had her undergrad from here. And then Kimberly and Scott got married 2 years ago. So I'm in the garage. That turns out differently. I missed that wedding. They might miss me. And life is different. And this was Christmas last year. So your wellness has a ripple effect, and you need to be aware of that effect. Wellness starts with you, your family, students, your staff, and your whole school community. And that's part of that comprehensive school health piece. So I'm going to show, so this is a silent slide. When I first downloaded, I'm waiting for the sound. What I'd like you to do as you watch the ripple, identify one action that you will implement to support your wellness just over the next 5 weeks. If you don't take time for your wellness, in some shape or form, you will be forced to take time for your illness. First and foremost, know thyself. What energizes me, what is calming for me, is not the same for everybody else. And what I've learned over the years is kind of the higher the day, the more low time I need to kind of catch up. But that's just my personal thing. I've also learned that if I don't know something right off the bat, I paralyze myself. Okay, that's not very helpful. So by knowing myself, I guess the SEL is being aware of what you're experiencing, and then how do you manage that and take that on so that your wheel will never be perfectly round, because you know, you want some action, you want some bumps. And in the mental wellness session, we learned that we need some bumps. We need some of that adrenaline to get us going, and we need some challenges. But overall, if you see you're going too much into the dark side, so to speak, or that you're really struggling with where you're at, reach out at the school level, your employee assistants at university, the Student Wellness Center, and of course us instructors. So I want to thank you. First of all, I want to say I'm so encouraged by the energy and the freshness of being amongst pre-service teachers. It's an honor to be here. And I also want to say it is really, really important to take care of yourself. So sometimes if you push too far over the edge, then you're not at school anyway. So now you have your why and what you want to accomplish and affect the kids. You're no longer there to do that. Have a tremendous semester. If you need to get in contact with me, and thank you once again.